American Water Polo.
Hi, this is Damon Newman from American Water Polo. I'm here today with Mark Lawrence from Austin College to help us better understand the recruiting college process. How you doing, Mark?
Great, great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time. So tell me a little about yourself and tell me more about Austin College.
Yeah. So myself as a coach, I started working my way up as an assistant coach. I started under Todd Clapper at Arizona State as a grad assistant for 1 year, which was a phenomenal experience because he's a great coach. And then from there, I went to MIT as a part-time coach, and then worked my way up through Brown as an assistant coach. And now here I'm at Austin College in Texas, just north of Dallas. And we are the first program since, I believe, 1972 to have varsity water polo in the state of Texas. So we're really excited to be the first domino and hopefully inspire more programs, Division 3, 2, or 1 in Texas to look at water polo. So
That's great. That's great. So you obviously have a lot of experience working on different levels. D1, D3, D2. So you have a lot of experience what it takes to recruit a college athlete and prepare a college athlete to play. Um, so tell me a little bit about the process. At Austin, what does that look like for you guys? What's the recruiting process look like?
yeah, so it's a little different process when I came here versus where I was in the past. In the past, I was always at schools that had recognizable logos from either being on ESPN for more popular revenue sports or recognizable names for what their academic backgrounds were. So schools like
Right.
MIT or Brown, everyone knows what those schools are.
Right.
And so the process here at Austin College was more so our first year was to educate kind of the community in Texas, and then also coast to coast on who we were as a school and what we can offer. Because we are a very strong academic school, and at the time we considered ourselves to be a hidden gem. So the goal was to go from being a hidden gem to educate the youth WARPO scene on like how our strengths of academics were and the culture on campus. So for us, we've gone past that point, and now I think we're a recognizable program, and now we just focus more on what we offer academically for these student athletes, and that's where we
Right.
start every conversation is academics first. Make sure that they're a good fit for where we strive and what they're looking for.
Excellent. Now, you obviously talked about coming, starting a new program, which is a challenge all to itself, to the educating athletes to what Austin, college is all about, and to now to where you're, identifying talent and things of that nature. What are some of the character traits you're looking for when you're talking to a prospective student athlete?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we really recruit high character athletes first. I'd much rather take a chance on a kid who has great potential and great character versus somebody who I'd be up late at night with, So once we get past that part, the first thing that we look for is work ethic, is their commitment to the classroom, their commitment to the pool, and the work ethic in both those fields. We want to have student athletes here who want to thrive at both, who want to excel at both academics and water polo and not give up one for the other, and sacrifice one for the other. So we look at work ethic first, especially as a Division 3 program where we don't control their entire calendar as far as rules go with training and different elements. They really have to be self-driven. They have to have strong goals. They have to have a strong work ethic to get to those goals. That way, so we can kind of put them on a track, try and keep them on track, but then they're really self-driven to reach those goals themselves versus somebody who might need to be maybe babysat a little bit more or wants to sacrifice one area for the other, and you know so
Excellent. So when you're looking at these character traits and you obviously have your recruiting timeline. When should an athlete, if they're interested in Austin, when should they start this process? Typically.
yeah, we start with their junior year.
Okay.
Once they get in the summer before their junior year and they're eligible to be recruited, that's when we start our process.
Right.
And I think kids should really start the same, because especially when you look at schools like us, if we want to recruit kids from California or Chicago, we have a huge Chicago interest, and next year we'll have 5 athletes from Chicago, which we're really excited about. we don't get out to these different areas every single year. So one summer I might be in Chicago, one summer I might be in Maryland or Florida or California. So that 2-year cycle gives us a chance to really get to know athletes, but also gives us a chance to see them, because we don't have the recruiting budget that maybe some bigger programs would have that could go to those areas every single year. So I think for kids, they should always start with a huge list and narrow it down based off academics and other elements that they're looking for, but they should start the process early as well. Give themselves as much time to be seen, show improvement in the classroom, and really figure out what they want from a school, academically, socially, and athletically.
Excellent. So what would be your recommendation for an athlete? Like, how would they prepare to say, maybe message you on the phone or call you, or basically to have a conversation, whether it's on campus or on the phone? What would you recommend? How would they prepare for that?
Yeah, I think is preparing, just having questions. It seems like a really dumb big answer.
So you would think that's a simple question. That's a simple request, right? Sometimes.
Dude, 100%. Like, I don't know how many times at various schools I've gone on the phone with a kid for the first time, and it's just like white noise. Right. We could talk so much. It's so easy to talk to somebody via email when you don't have to verbalize in the moment, when you could take your time to kind of think of what information you want, versus getting on the phone with somebody and talking in the moment with them. So I think for kids to prepare, like, really sit down before you have that first call or that first interaction and figure out what information you really need to know that you can't read on a website, and come prepared with questions. When I have my recruiting phone calls, I have my spiel, but I also want to make sure that, like, my call ends with the athlete having the information they were looking for. And a lot of times, our spiel may or may not cover all those elements.
Right.
I'm a talker, so I get my spiel criticized for being too long. So normally we're good, but having kids be prepared with questions, especially a school like us, where we're not a UCLA or a University of Texas, where we're very well known coast to coast. So being prepared with questions is absolutely the best. So
yeah, that's some good information to know. Yeah, exactly. Having preparation, having an understanding of the coach you're talking to in the university or the college you might be, referencing, for sure.
Yeah.
So, with the COVID outbreak and the potential for some larger tournaments to being, potentially canceled. I know you talked a little bit about your recruiting budget, and in the places that you go. What would you recommend an athlete do, to be seen if they're not, and given those opportunities aren't there, maybe, in the spring or even potentially this summer?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's going to be really tough for this class that are rising seniors to be seen, because we don't know if these typical summer tournaments or events that we go to as college coaches are going to exist. So, if you're a kid from a huge program that has a lot of exposure to different tournaments or different coaches, it might be a little bit easier for somebody who's maybe lives in the Midwest or in parts of Texas that don't have those same opportunities. So I think in this element, you have to make technology be your best friend. Hopefully you have game film. If you don't, use technology, get on Zoom, make phone calls, emails, and try and really sell yourself as a potential recruit, and really highlight the things that you can control right now. So success in past seasons, or success academically at the end of this year, and try and prolong that conversation and gain that interest from the coach. So I think you really have to use technology, and some schools in different areas of the country might be offering camps still, which would be a phenomenal way if you could get there safely.
Right.
But I think time will tell with those this summer.
Right. Yeah. It's a pretty big holding pattern, I think, that we're all in right now. So and coaches are no different, and as well as athletes.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about game film. What does that look like? Is that I know athletes put together highlight films. I know coaches. Some coaches look for game footage. Some look for highlights. Can you tell me a little bit more about like what you prefer?
Yeah, for me personally, I prefer full games. I really like to sit down and watch a full game. I like to see the areas where you do really well as an athlete. I also like to see the areas where you possibly struggle in the areas that you have to improve on to really contribute to our program. As a coach, I'm a very confident coach, but I don't think I'm perfect at developing every single skill set either. So I really want to see the areas where they struggle as an athlete, the areas where they need to improve, and see if those are areas of my strength as a coach that I can help them develop those areas as well. So that to me is as important as what they do well. So seeing the whole game versus a highlight reel kind of shows me, are they going to have an impact right away to help our program with the skill sets that they're already strong at? And are there areas that need to be improved as a player? Do those kind of match my areas of strength as a coach, or the areas of strength for our staff? And can we develop those? Or is somebody coming in with areas of needed growth, and those are areas that we're weaker in developing? So things like that are great to see and great to know. And it doesn't mean that we won't recruit somebody. It just gives us a better idea of what your plans is for development your freshman year. And then that'll give us a better understanding versus seeing a 2-minute highlight reel, just somebody scoring goals. You
get a full picture of what they're looking on, whether there's positives.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. So
that's good. That's good advice for sure. So you talked a little bit about being in, I know you said you got some recruits coming in from Chicago, and obviously Texas water polo has expanded tremendously in the last 10 years. Where do you do most of your off-campus recruiting?
Yeah, so right now for our campus, our programs, we really have focused on 3 areas of California, Texas, and Chicago. Okay. Chicago one just happened kind of by chance, where we met a handful of athletes throughout the last couple of years, and we just kind of built momentum there and strong interest there, which is great, because I think Chicago has some really great coaches at the youth level. I think they have some great athletes, which is really great. We'll also have a couple of kids from Florida next year. So we really try to focus on Texas first and California second. We want to be kind of loyal to Texas and give these kids here the opportunity to play in college, who might not have the opportunity to go play at a Stanford or a Harvard or something. And but in doing so, we also don't want to have a Texas All-Star team where kids are not meeting new teammates, right? Our first year, the only complaint we had from our athletes is that they already knew each other from the high school level, and they wanted to have some teammates, some non-Texas teammates also. So we're trying to find that blend, but we really focus on Texas and California, and then we're also recruit pretty heavily with Chicago and Florida as well. So we don't travel too much just because of our recruiting budget. So we rely on technology for a lot of that process. But when we do travel, we go out west and we try to alternate between Florida, Chicago every other year or so.
Okay,
so that's
excellent. Plan. So you've developed some hot spots in the country that have shown a lot of interest, and I think that's an important thing for PSA to do, is just show interest and be proactive. And obviously that you generally should get some reciprocation from coaches.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really great. We've gotten tons of support, and especially from the Midwest. Like a lot of the coaches that we know in the Chicago area or I've met while coming here have really been pushing their kids hard, which is awesome. The one way for the recruiting process to be made so much easier for the recruit and for the program is to have that support from their coach as well. So we're starting to figure out where in Texas we have that, starting to figure out where in the Midwest or West Coast, East Coast, like different pockets where we have the support from the coaches and the interest from the athletes. So excellent.
Now, what's life like for a student athlete, at Austin?
Yeah. I think it's pretty good. I think our kids who are really happy, they don't have any complaints. They have that balance. They have a great balance of academics, athletics, and social life. And within our team culture, we talk about how we could kind of create that balance and make sure that one doesn't take away from the other, but they enjoy all 3 aspects. As far as what Austin College has to offer, we're in a really small town outside of Dallas. So the Dallas suburbs are 35 to 40-minute drive. So everything that big city has to offer right there for our athletes. We also have a lake campus that's 10 miles off campus. off our main campus. So the Lake campus, we have a couple miles of beachfront that's private for Austin College, where our athletes go and they do bonfires,
That's pretty cool.
paddleboarding, yeah, different things. So there's a lot of hiking and trails in the area. So it's a great combination of like typical on-campus life for a college kid that I think is pretty common everywhere. And then a great balance with that and like lakefront life and kind of small town where everyone recognizes the Austin College athletes. So they go to local cafes, local mom and pop restaurants, and people know who they are and what sports they represent. So it's a really cool atmosphere. And, if you're looking for a huge urban city, day-to-day life, probably not the best fit, but if you want that balance of having the big city available, but then also a little bit more laid back lifestyle, then it's a great experience.
Well, yeah, it sounds like it's a great mix of like you said, kind of a smaller town feel, great academics, and the mix of it sounds like it would be of a unique campus. I had no idea that existed, in Austin.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell me, like, before we wrap up here, so say an athlete is interested in, Austin College, like, what's the next steps they should take?
Yeah, for a kid who's generally interested in us and they're trying to make first contact, email is really easy. Email as much as possible. If you don't, I try really hard to respond to all my emails in a timely manner. But just keep emailing, be a pest. I always tell kids, every school I've worked at, pests don't get forgotten about. Sometimes really shy kids accidentally get forgotten about, especially if they're not like on the junior national team or have that sort of background. So be a pest, email, don't call the office. I probably shouldn't admit this, but I check my email all day. Okay. I check my voicemail periodically. So throughout the week. So yeah, email is best.
Information that's good to know.
Yeah. So email is best. And then from there, I normally get into the phone calls and text messages and then kind of take it from there. So.
That's perfect. Hey, Mark, this has been a pleasure learning more about yourself and learning more about Austin College. This is Damon Newman from American Water Polo. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, our website, AmericanWaterPolo.org. And remember, it's important to stay connected to what's important to you.